Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Take it
Well, I
away.
appreciate you guys having me on here, giving you some of the goods. You'll definitely get a chance to see it when I'm there in action, and some people have already come out randomly in different events occurring and whatnot. But I'll jump right into it. I think the biggest thing when it comes to upselling that a lot of people are like somewhat lacking in is just not having the confidence and just being pleasantly persistent when it comes to upselling. For me, I upsell just about every single order. I try to upsell the client, and the biggest thing that you're going to have the confidence from, which I'm sure you guys are already gone over, is just knowing all the different things that we offer, all the different things we offer, and all the different things that we make sure and bring up at the event. Because you never know what aspect the client's going to be looking towards. It could be the knives, it could be silverware, it could be cookware, it could be just a honey knife package. But if you don't have your scripts, like your elevator pitch down on all these different things, then you probably not going to have the confidence to even bring it up. So one of the biggest things at LA County Fair that we stressed was everybody knowing how to do all their pitches, all their elevator pitches, whether it be for ultimate sale, whether it be for silverware sale, cookware, the miscellaneous gadgets, those miscellaneous gadget stuff. It's not really brought up as much, but those things can add on like 200, 400, 500 CPO just because you offered it or use it to get a bigger order. The sporting knife packages, that's one of the big things that we brought back. I think you guys might have access to it. The Vast Action has like a specials binder that has all these different outdoor packages. So um, that was a big emphasis that I had this year. With once I closed the deal, if I heard anything about the honey knives, or I usually pitch that, we were on the military bases with a K bar, and the K bar is like in the front of my setup, along with the fishing knife and then a pocket knife dangling from the trays. So I kind of put it there so I can see what the client's looking at, what the client's playing with, and I don't necessarily attack it right away. I just let them play with it, so I know I have that in my back pocket. So when it gets time to close them, or once you have that credit card, you can bring that up there, and that's easily an extra 300 CPO just off a K bar and a pocket knife. When you present it the right way, whether it be for a gift, whether it be for a shock and awe, I always call it a shock and awe gift. If they're into outdoor, if they're into camping, or if they're into fishing, knowing all that information is going to make it a lot easier for you to be able to upsell them after the fact. And a really big emphasis past year is business gifts. Business gifts is going to be that can make or break your entire day, your entire week, just by making sure you ask what they do. You already have the order, you already have the credit card, and a lot of business owners, the credit card is going to have their business name on it, and that's an easy way for you to actually bring up business gifts to them. And what I tend to do with that aspect is just have your business gift pitch, like letting them know. I can go through the pitch if you want, but I'm assuming most people already know the pitch. We can go back to that later on if you want me to go into my pitches for any aspect of it. But yeah, asking every one of your clients if they run a business or what they do for work will give you a really easy way of upselling them with the business gifts, and not only that, making it easier for them to jump on board with a bigger order, because now that they can write it off through the business gift way of going about things. um, I'd say the biggest thing that's really helped me, like, just separate myself from a lot of the people that I usually work with, is just being fully present with every single client I talk to. Um, I don't assume every client is going to go for a ulti or go for a homemaker or any of that. I literally try to find out exactly what they want, what they're there for, and then once I get that credit card, then we can play ball and get whatever whatever I saw them touch. could be the silverware. I kind of touch on everything all throughout the whole presentation. So I do the normal the leather cutting, and I get them excited about that. And then one of the lines I've been using that's been very effective is so I'll go. So Karen, if you were going to get Cutco today, would you lean more towards like getting your feet wet with a few pieces, something small, which is like a homemaker, or would you go with like replacing your whole set? And based on what they say there, I already have a mindset of where their mindset's at, so I'm not wasting my time trying to push a ultimate when they're stuck on. I just need a few knives. I always go with what they want. And if they say a small set, then I go into all the small sets are basically a homemaker Siggy Ultimate. So I'll just show you the three most popular sets, and you let me know what's more ideal for your style of cooking. And then I just go through the whole process with it, and just through their body language and where they're looking. Some people I have my setup where I have the small knives, and then I have the bigger knives. And if you see that they're gravitating towards the small knives, there's a good chance that they're comfortable with just the small knives. And you have to be ready to counter with why the bigger knives are also important. But in that sense, I will just focus on closing them on the small knife set. And then once I have them closed on the small knife set, I always, with every aspect of what I sell, I always ask them, how many were you thinking? That's a huge question that you can get double up, triple up sales. Um, and it's also an assumptive close. So I know you like these five pieces here. Now we're thinking of getting it just one set, two for like other properties, RV, camper. If you've built enough some rapport and they've brought up some aspect of their family that may have Cutco or may not have Cutco or love to cook, then you can incorporate getting a double upsell. And that's a big that's what that was a big part of how I was able to increase my average order size. It was double up sales. With all these fairs and festivals, a lot of people roll out there together with their friends, and you might have one friend that's the one that's like, hey, I want to check out the knives, but in the background, the other friends, drinking and listening in and whatnot. And I've had multiple times where I'm pitching it to the specific person, but I'm projecting so the people behind can also hear, because that's where you can get the double upsell. Like if their friend is somewhat interested too, and I kind of get them working together where one person wants it, the other person's like, we don't need it, but tell us about it. And that's when I would bring up the double up special. Like if you both decided to go ahead and get it, because this is the largest event we actually put on in Fresno, I'm actually going to be able to do a little extra discount for you, and I'm going to include some of these extra stuff that I already know they liked. It could be the cutting boards, it could be the gadgets, and with every single thing I show them, I hype every single thing up. The cutting boards, those are like the easiest thing to hype up with how they're raised, how they have the grooves. So if they're into barbecuing, which I bring it up, it all makes sense for them because they know when they're doing the tri-tip and the overflow and all that, it gives value in the cutting board, and they don't know the price of the cutting board. It's just the perceived value. So at the end of a pitch, if you're trying to upsell them to something else, you can say, on top of the deal for the largest event we put on in Fresno, I'm also going to buy you not just the large cutting board, but I'm also going to buy you the small cutting board. And they stack on top of each other, and this just gives them an extra value, for what, 30 points or whatever, 40 points, and you just added on like another $300-400 because you add the barbecue knife or something like that. And that's why it's really important for you to be aware of what your clients are touching, what are they looking at. um, for me, I focus primarily on the knives first because we get paid the most off the knives, and that's how you hook them. You hook them with the knives. If you see their body language is like they can easily afford the knives, then you should be already thinking, we're looking at packages now. And that's why it's important again to know all those pitches, because you can just drop a little line for the silverware. Like after I close a deal, I typically say, which I learned from Curtis, is like, "Are you sure there's nothing missing from your set?" Which makes them start to think, "Hmm, what am I missing here?" And if you're paying attention, you might have noticed them touch the silverware. And that's when you can plug. Yeah, like a lot of people when they get this family set, they usually add on the silverware because the silverware is just designed to basically get rid of all those hodgepodge, mismatched, made in China, garbage disposal accident, and it has the same guarantee as the knives. And the best part is because this is the largest event we put on in Fresno, this is now going to get you like a double up discount. Now, do you feel like down the road you may eventually replace your silverware? And then you just get a feeler question. If they say yes, you're taking the pressure off for one, because it's not like you're telling them on the spot. But if it's something that they feel they're going to do later on, then I plug. Well, I mean, you're here right now. If I went out of my way and did something extra special or like turbocharged, would you consider adding it on right now? And that's when I would go more into my detailed silverware pitch, just to really give them the value of the silverware. And with my prospectus, the way most of our prospectus is set up, it shows the ultimate Siggy homemaker with steak knives, and then right next to it, it also shows adding on the silverware or adding on the cookware. There's different pages in my prospectus that shows that, so that way it's easy. You don't have to like overthink it. It makes it very easy for the client to be able to just identify what that increase would be, and you can get that upsell on the spot, which it is the biggest discount Cutco's ever offered, and I make sure and explain that to them because in the prospectus it shows like 800 $900 off. There's never been a time where Cutco has that big of a discount. So if they're excited about the silverware, then you just bundle it up, or bundle up discount. And even in that scenario, like if you have the confidence about it, I'm not just going for one silverware set. I ask them, there's the silverware only comes with 12 place settings. Do you think that's going to be enough for you? And then you read their body language. If they're like, oh yeah, that's plenty enough, then you might have yourself just a silverware set added on there. But if you see them starting to think about it, you can drop the line of some of my clients, they like to have two sets, one for each property. Some of them like to get the double up discount because they can use it for the holidays as a gift. If you entertain a lot, then 12 steak knives, 12 place settings might not be enough for you. And you can go various routes on how to get the silverware order. I found after just experimenting with it, like you have the regular price, everything's paid in full, like full price. Instead of having to like drop down and just get the silverware set without the accessories, you can save yourself a bunch of CPO and increase your average order size by just offering a few pieces of the accessories. You tell them the price for the flatware, the discount for that, and on top of the bundle discount for the flatware, I'm also going to give you three choices of the accessories that which you get the most use out of. And that for one, the price just went down like what, $700 or whatever. And and then you also gave them incentive by picking out three of their favorite accessories. And that could seal the deal right there. My biggest line when it comes to the silverware as well is that a lot of my clients, when they get the silverware, I do this as a little extra thing on top of the accessories, is I actually put a nameplate on the silverware. And most of my clients that have been getting it, they usually put made especially for the Perez family, or made especially for the Smith family. And if you know their last name, and like who's the queen of the castle, king of the castle there, you can just plug that name, and that makes that partner, it feels more special for them. And not only that, it's like a legacy thing. It's not just going to be something you're going to use for just for special occasions. Most of my clients, they put half of them in their drawer, and then when the holidays come around, they take it all out, they put it in the box. It has the nameplate, it looks super sexy, and it just makes it that much more special for the occasion. And that's just for the silverware side of things. Um, with the cookware, that's one that everyone just has to, you just have to know how to do the whole approach. There's plenty of videos, there's plenty of like info. I've got my best work from Kareem. Like he has an audio that I literally listened to over and over and over and over until mastered it, and just like drop the seed, just see if they bite. That's pretty much my whole approach through my entire pitch with everything. I just throw little seeds here and there. If I see their body language looks like they're gonna bite, then I save it for later on. So once I have the credit card on the knives, or if I'm just doing the silverware, I have other things that I can bring up because they've already, if your stuff is laid out the right way, they've already been touching the gadgets. They've already been looking at the gardening tools. They've already been looking at the hunting knives. And if they're looking at the hunting knives, you should be asking, "Hey, do you guys do any camping?" So how savvy is it? They're messing with the hunting knives already, and I make it playful with them because they're looking at it and I'm like, "Oh no, go ahead, play, play, play." And and if they are interested in it, then you can add that on as an upserve. Um, so yeah, I always think about like multiple pieces, especially when it comes to the cheese knife and the new vegetable knives, the barbecue knife. A lot of people will add on a second barbecue knife or second shears if you ask them about it. But if you don't ask them, then you're never gonna know. And that's a huge part of like the upserving for me. Let's see. And let's see. So the other thing is when you start doing your presentation in the beginning and you're cutting the leather, one of the things that you want to be ready for is those qualified people that are potential like Cutco Kitchen clients. If they're not flinching over the ultimate, they're I basically think, okay, I'm going big. Worst case scenario, you might get a ulti, you might get a ulti siggy, or excuse me, an ultimate flatware, you might get an ultimate cookware. If they're not flinching over the price and they see the value, you've created that value with the cookware. You've done the cookware water demonstration. You show them the difference on why people love Cutco cookware in general. Um, that's an insane like double up, triple up right there. And you can always plug, even if it's not something that they're ready to do right away. You got to remember that we have the 10 pay, 15 pay. There's a lot of people that don't even remember to offer that. If they're considering it for down the road, I'm plugging. During the holidays is going to be a perfect time for you to have your cookware because you're going to be using it a lot. And if I was able to find a way to make it fit in your budget, would you consider it? And that's when I explain how the tempeh works. We'll start you off with the knives right now because that's obviously you're going to be using it a lot more. Kind of mentioned that the cookware wasn't really the main attraction, but with this double up discount, I can make it so you can actually do this on 10 payments. And then you explain how the 10 payments work. Assuming everyone's, vets here, so you know how to do the get right up the order and process it. And I get their signature. I have like 2 or 3 orders that are like flatware orders, cookware orders already ready to go in September just because I did that at the fair. I set it up where our fair was in May. We're coming up in October, and that's easy CPO, just waiting for you to process it. And I make sure that I don't have to go out of my way and call them and retry to sell them on that. I literally have them initial it. I have the date specifically right there, so there's no mistakes. And once that time comes up, I just process the order, send them an email, thanking him again for helping me with my contest, promoting that we're trying to break the all-time record for Fresno's event, and also bring up your goals. Like that's a big way of getting people to add on to the upserve. Um, and like I mentioned with the cheese knife and the hearty slicer and that stuff, I plug that as this is our number one knife. Like we have people that literally come just to the fair just to buy these for gifts because they know that we have discounts going. And if you were gonna get, I know you're already gonna get one for yourself. Do you think you'd want to have one for your sister, your mom, your brother, your if you've overheard them talk about their family member that's in the barbecue or entertains a lot? I'm plugging the barbecue package, which is for me the barbecue package would be the hearty slicer, the raw meat knife cleaver, and then a chopping knife, and then I throw in like the spatula spreader as like a it's a joke one I made. I don't know if I've shown you guys this before, but with the spatula spreader, I explained the spatula spreader in the beginning of the presentation where so do you do avocados? Yes. Okay. This is what we call the avocado knife. Avocado in hand, cut around the edge, open it up, use the sharp side to get the seed out, flip it to the non-sharp side to scoop it out. And they're already like, oh my gosh, that's that's very useful. And then of course bagels, cakes and pies, lasagnas, Rice Krispie treats. And this is the best part about the avocado knife. Check it out. When you look real close, it shows you the next Cutco owner, and that usually gets them laughing. And it usually gets both spouses laughing, which you're starting off your presentation already getting them happy and laughing and enjoying the whole flow of it, and you keep going through the whole process of the names and uses. And some people like, I'm not always going for like, I don't have to go for like a homemaker altar or whatever. If I have a if someone comes up to the booth, and this is a big part of how my average order size was so high, was whatever the customer comes up to the booth, they're like, I just want three knives, four knives. And or they already, if they're a past Cutco customer, they already know what knife they want to add on there. So my line usually is, that's crazy that you picked those knives. That actually comes in our 5-piece bundle. That's like one of our top sellers right now. And that's why it's important for you to know your names and uses, because if you don't know your names and uses in and out, then you might be putting in like duplicates. And if you know your names and uses, they picked out 3, 4 knives, you can counter every knife, counter every single knife they have. So that way they see the value that it's not just like another just random piece you're adding on there. You're adding on something that actually complements their entire set and rounds off their set. And then promoting whatever special you want to get them, whether it be um, a gadget, or if you want to just price frame. You already know the knives range from 100 to 250 a piece. Even though you're getting these 5 pieces here, I just show them the calculator. This is where you're going to get everything for, and whatever perception they have, that could be a full price. And if I see the body language going where it's they're not giving me the kind of read that I want, that's when I will plug in. And the crazy part is, because this is the largest event we do, this is not even what you're going to pay. On top of everything else we're doing with this price, I'm also going to either I'll lower the price by buying the cheapest piece, or I'll add on something to the order to get them to do it. And those are multiple options you're going to have if you, again, you know your names and uses. And even after that, let's say they go, okay, yeah, that makes sense, I would use this, and I go over everything. You would use this paring knife, you use this trimmer, you'd use the avocado knife, right? You barbecue, so the hearty slice you're going to use all the time, and the raw meat knife is like a must. um Now, were you just considering to get one of these sets or two or three? Usually they're going to say, oh no, no, just one. They just close themselves. No, we're not going for one or two or three. We're just looking at one set today. Okay, cool. And you said you wanted in the dark, right? Cool. Perfect. And is it your turn to pay or are you up today? I literally tell them that. And it's like a Sunth close all the way around. And once I get the card, it's game on. So are you sure that there's nothing missing from the set? Because usually when people get these five pieces, they sometimes like to have it in a block. Do you like stuff organized in a block or do you prefer it in the drawer? You might get a block upgrade right there. You might get a five-piece tray, which I only plug the five-piece tray that much, but that is an option. And then I also plug the table knife steak knives. Another thing a lot of people tend to add on are steak knives. Have you guys, you know, considered getting the steak knives? Is that something you think you might want to get down the road? And based on their answer, if I went out of my way and did something extra special for you, would you consider just doing it right now? And then you just show them the payments on it and plug and play. And then don't assume how many steak knives they want. Always ask them because some people they might. And I always start high. So if you, with the steak knives, are you looking to get 8, 12, 16, and they might just say 6. But if you're like 4, 6, 8, they're probably gonna go with 4. So like those just those different things, that's so much CPO. Like, and once you get a commitment on steak knives, now you want to get the commitment on which size steak knife. And I typically I try to lean towards the person that's going to be more interested in the bigger steak knife than the baby knives, which is what I call them. And if they're comfortable with those knives, then I flip the switch and say, this has been our flagship steak knives for decades. So even though it's smaller, like a lot of my clients like it because the kids can use it and whatnot, and it's only going to add an extra like what $40 to your payment, just nonchalant. And if they jump off that, like I keep going and going and going until they tell me no, that's it, Dwayne, stop. And in most cases, I'm like, hey, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't share. You're the one that touched it. That's your fault. and, and they usually get a kick out of it because it's like the hubby's like playing with this, and I'm like, see what he's doing. Now I gotta tell him about it, and that's just another fun way to just get your client like just laughing and enjoying it and planting the seed for like like if I had that scenario where they're messing with the K bar, but they're like pretty much done. I kind of help the partner like so if you were like down the road like if you got something like this for a birthday present, would you want it engraved? Planting the seed, looking to the spouse. I got you. And if they, if they want that, it's just asking those questions to see if you can possibly get a K bar out of it. And you can ask for the order with adding the K bar on and then throwing an extra gadget in. That's still another, 200 CPO just because you noticed him messing or her messing with the K bar. And again, it's not one K bar. Are we thinking one or two? So it's an even fight. And again, joking around, get them laughing, and see what happens. Or if it's the K bar and the outdoorsman, where you're looking like at the package portion of it, and that's where those packages I was telling you about in the prospectus really comes into play because it gives them so many different options. They choose, boom, boom, boom. The price is there. Sometimes they'll take a hit a little bit, but a lot of times it's full CPO, and then you can add in like a bacon serve, a slice and serve, or whatever that the other partner or person might have been interested, or a pocket knife or a gardening tool. And having all those different things right up front where they can see and touch and play, that's the name of the game with getting it. Just be pleasantly persistent about it. As long as you're not aggressively doing it, like it's no harm, no foul. If they're not about it, then it's totally cool. We'll just put on your wish list for down the road. And that's usually my way of going, just nonchalant. If I feel like it's getting a little bit too much, don't even worry about it. We can just say that for next year. And even then, I get the credit card. I'm still gonna try to do a little something something. Um, and yeah, like that's a big part of it. Just being confident about everything we offer, knowing when you need to flip the switch for a business gift order or a realtor order. And those business gift orders, they're in those things are like freaking 2K, 3K, 4K, and it's fairly easy to get once you have the approach. They're a business owner, they're gonna spend the money either way. And if they're about giving gifts, like we've done all the research with 100% accuracy, we know that everyone eats. And imagine going into your friend's kitchen and you see the knife that you gave them, it's standing out in the red or the white. It creates that conversation without even being there, and it's 100% write off. Like it's a win-win. You grab and go, you grab and gift in, and you don't necessarily have to even use it for your business. I have a lot of my clients that'll just use it for like a last minute gift that they need for a family member or a friend. And then you can gauge and let them know again, because this is the largest event we put on in Fresno, and I got to compete against these guys over here. Like if you decided to go ahead and do it, I will get you a crazy deal. Like I will nuke you with a deal. And that's just the verbiage I use that I'm comfortable with, and I've gotten a lot of responses from it. And yeah, that's for the most part, those are some of the things that have have really made the jump for me. Just being able to offer all these different things from wherever whatever aspect. It could even just be gardening tools. They could just want the pruners, and I plug. You kind of lucked out because we just finished off our summer sale, and the gardening tools like the pruners by himself is like what one something 176 or two whatever. The entire gardening tool package right now is 378. You get all four and the gardening bag. You just went from pruners to adding on an extra 200 CPO just because you offered it and the verbiage came out that way. And they may not even jump on it, but at least you never know. That could be something that's an add-on after you sell them their set if they're in the gardening. Um, and that's for everything. That's literally for everything that we offer. You just got to be aware and don't be distracted by your neighbors. I found that's a huge part of just being fully present with your client, giving them eye contact, making jokes, like just focusing on them. The people at LA County, they know if I'm in the zone, like you could say whatever, I'm not listening to you unless it's like really urgent. I don't even hear you. I'm like focused on my client, and at the same time, like I don't even want them talking to my client because I don't want to break that connection. They might the customer might make a joke of something that's gonna deflate the order, and then your teammate like maybe chuckles about it. I'm giving like don't mess with that. And everyone knows like just after I get the credit card, after everything's done, then you can like join the fun because a lot of my clients and Danny knows this, like we have a lot of fun, and it just creates that relationship, and you're hooking them up and you're taking care of them and making sure they're leaving happy. Like that's why I have like those repeat clients that randomly just bring drinks to me without me asking for it, just because they know I'm going to be there, and just everything, food, whatever. And it's just having that relationship with the client. Um, but I think that kind of covers. Yeah, it kind of covers the majority of it. And since one thing I do want to add, another thing I did that helps with fairs, especially these long fairs, the sample knives, peelers, you got to have that on stack because those I use the I call it the exclusive knife, the sample knife, or the bar knife. And if you don't know how to pitch it, basically you're in the mode. So have you seen our exclusive knife before? No? Do you do any like do you drink? Okay. So feel this knife. This is the lightest knife that we make that you can't buy. Only our senior reps even know it exists. It's used for your lemons, limes, cherry tomatoes, strawberries, and you have to be careful. Like if they don't drink, then you have to use the vocab now based on just lemons, limes. You have lemons in the morning with water. Da 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 da. If they do drink, then most of my clients they keep it at the bar. It's their bar knife, or they take it when they're going to in their RV and whatnot. And because I know that you were looking at these two pieces here, and I know that you said that you'll probably end up getting them later on, even though we don't do buy two get one, if you go ahead and get this and helps with my contest, I'm gonna go ahead and buy you the exclusive knife. I'm gonna go ahead and buy you the bar knife. The hell is $8 for 200 CPO, just like that, or a peeler, either one, or both, like $20, $150 bonus. Like that's why I'm always stacked on those and I always use those. And it's easy way to bump up the CPO, especially for multiple pieces. If they're doing multiple sets, I'll double up discount with the homemaker. I'm bombing them with so many, and I'm gonna undo this, I'm gonna do this, this, and the shipping's also gonna be included as well. And like, what else do you want? You want my shirt too? and and it just gets them laughing. And some people will buy it, some people won't, but a lot of people will. And they're offering it. So yeah, I'm not sure how long I've gone so far, but how much do I want some time for Q&As or anything that's specific?
Anybody have some questions for Dwayne?
35.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I think you already went over it just a little bit, but you said mainly for business gifts, the easiest way in is just looking at their card, or maybe even asking like, "Cool, you want to do debit, credit, or business card?" And then afterwards, if they show any interest, do you have a specific pitch for them?
Yeah, yeah, it's like what I briefly mentioned. So what kind of business do you do? Do you guys ever give appreciation gifts? I know a lot of my clients they have like anniversary, and just instead of giving like a bottle of wine or a gift basket, we actually engrave the Cutco with your name, logo, and information right there on the box, and I have the gift set right there to show them. And when you think about it, the whole idea is not to have you spending more money. The whole idea is you're already spending that money. It might as well be something that's actually going to be used every single day the rest of your life. Even if your client or your employee moves on, like it's something that is always going to be with them, and it's going to create top of mind awareness without you being there. Most people when they're hanging out at the friend's house, they usually hang out in the kitchen. And when you see something like a red knife sticking out of a block or a white knife sticking out of the block, there's a good chance they're going to start talking about it. I was like, yeah, my realtor Daniel, he got it for me after like taking care of the house or doing refinancing the loan. And not only can that create that top of mind awareness on you being there, but you can also get a sale just from that. I did a deal with the firefighters or CPAP company that we did a deal where we sent out two knife sets to all the fire the stations in the area that work with a CPAP company. And I've had people that just have those two knives, but then they are hooked on those two knives, and they referred me over. They referred them back to me to be able to get more knives, and that'll happen a lot. And at the same time, with a business gift client, you can actually set up a program where you already know what they got last year, and this could be like a annual thing for reorders, which is why the realtor business and the business gift business has been popping off because you know you can customize it any way you want. It could be a big one pop thing, or it could be a every year, every quarter kind of thing, and hopefully that answers your question
Awesome, thank you. I appreciate that.
for sure.
So I was going to ask, you talked a lot about like studying their body language and stuff like that. Could you describe like what are you looking for? Like, is it like they're facing towards you, facing away from you? Is it certain look on their face, like what the body language that you're trying to look at, what is it specifically?
Facial expression, facial expression, hand gestures. You tell them the price. You do an assumptive close on the color of the knives, and you can see the partner look at the other partner. They can give each other a weird look, or they can give each other like I'm excited look, I want a honey look, or
Mhm.
can I get can we do this? Like all those kind of body languages, like that'll give you an idea of if you need to push a little more with the free stuff, work on the price. If I see them say something to the partner that is not in the favor of getting the set, then I'll jump in before they can get on that negative route. If you know how they are, some people they'll start listing off all their expenses, and I could
Mhm.
totally see you guys weren't expecting to get the set today, but like it seems like you really liked it. You like that they're American made. You do like the handles and everything. What if I just did this? Like if I just went out of my way just to make it easier for you to budget it, would you guys just consider doing it today? Just based off of that body language or that verbiage they said to their partner. And that the only way you're gonna really get that locked in is by doing like just being more aware of it, and also just studying the body language. It's like that's a huge part of how I sell. Um, it's a bit different from Brandon. Brandon has his methodology of how he does it. But even him, same thing. We go off the body language. For me in particular, that's like one of my strengths, to read the body and be able to pivot where I need to pivot and know when I need to back the up or jump more in. And yeah, that's it. Hopefully that answers it. There's all kinds of factors that'll give you cues. There's certain cues that you'll see in the whole thing, even in the beginning, like when they cut the leather, like the cues they give from just that reaction, like right, that's why people buy Cutco. And it's just assuming that because that reaction they gave of excitement was, oh my god, wow, I hype that wow up even more. And um and then that's not even the best part. The best part about Cutco is just it'll stay sharp 7 to 10 years, and go through the guarantee. And like that's why our booth is ambushed right now, because people know like this is the best you're gonna get, and it lasts forever. And you can pass it down generation. I mean, I can just keep going like all
Yeah.
that. Maybe see what I mean though. Like if hopefully that kind of answers it.
Yeah, for sure. Do you do anything specific when like for prospecting? Like people walking by, are you looking for certain like brands of shirts and different like Rolex watches, or like do you do stuff about prospecting, or you just talk to anybody that comes to the booth or is
I
close?
definitely, I definitely do prospecting. If I notice a Rolex, I'm doing whatever I can to get you over here. If I notice, someone's like dressed the T and like I'm trying to whatever I gotta say. Have you seen this knife before? Hey, you guys barbecue? Oh, you gotta feel this knife. This is the coolest knife. Or compliment them. Like I prospect, I do, and that's another strength of mine, and what separates me from a lot of the people like in LA, because you'll have some people they're just on their phone, like it's slow, while I'm over here like hooking everybody and their mom. And if they bite, they bite. Qualify quick. If they're not qualified, deuces. On to the
Right.
next.
Yeah, because
And
we take turns, so that's why I was kind of like, well, like you said, there's some people on our team that are really just laid back and wait for people to walk up, and then there's some people that are kind of like, they fish. And so I just kind of wanted to get your philosophy on that, because since we take turns, sometimes you have that person who is taking forever with their turn because they're not fishing.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? And so like just wanted to kind of get an idea of like how you do it.
So we take turns as well. But one of the rules, and you want to address this at the beginning with your part, whoever you're working with.
Hmm.
If you're on one side and you let that prospect walk by, that's fair game. You should have called that person in. For it doesn't make sense that you're going to do the work and then hand off when that person had the same opportunity to call that person in. But for whatever reason, they were in their head
Or they
or
weren't paying attention or whatever. Okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
and then the turn thing, if it's like if it's a walk up and if it's not your turn, then
You hand it over.
yeah.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Got another
Uh,
question.
go for it.
I was going to ask Dwayne, especially with Fresno Fair, like me, Danny, Randy, we've worked this for a couple of years, and we know that we can be hooking a lot of people, but we always talk about Fresno being like a place where it's like, it's the hood, is what Danny always says. So what are the type of qualifying questions once you do hook someone in? It's like, oh, cool, there's some people showing some interest. How do you go ahead and make sure this is someone I actually want to spend some time with, or I go ahead and shove them off like a block in football and you just go to the next level?
I usually like the whole idea of like calling people in is to get them to turn, to them actually notice your booth. And if they notice your booth, like it's like tunnel, people have tunnel vision, just keep going. But if you, hey, how's it going? They turn back, just natural politeness and just human nature. And are you familiar with Cutco? Awesome. How are your knives at home? That could be a quick qualifier right there. Have you seen this knife before? Are you familiar with the K-bar? Like there's so many different ways you can go about it. And I try to just do I try to just get to the one I use the most is how are your knives at home? That's my main one because they'll tell you, it sucks or it's all right. Well, have you heard of Cutco before? No? Oh my gosh. Do you do any cooking in the kitchen yourself? Oh, you gotta try this out. And then you do the leather demo, and at that point you'll see the reaction. If the reaction is like, oh my gosh, I thought our knives were really good. These are cracked out. Or if their reaction is, yeah, it cuts about the same of ours. I mean, do you feel that you would use something like this over what you have at home? And then you can also qualify with, say, for instance, if they're like their knives are good already. Um, well, would it be okay for me to show you what most people like to add on to the complements their set? That's after they're already hooked on the leather demonstration. So there's various ones you can use. Um, but I think like you were asking about, Denise, the turn thing. If you're letting a prospect walk by in front of you, that's your responsibility to call them in. And if you're not doing it, you're not doing your job. You're just waiting for that golden customer to walk up and be like, "Oh, got a homemaker." But there's so many customers that you don't know what you don't know. Not everyone's gonna dress the part. Not everyone's gonna, need the knives. Some people are already gonna have Cutco. But if you let them walk by, yeah, you got to get used to the energy because some people I know, um, like I know Brandon does not call much because he wants to keep his energy for that client when it's his turn and all that stuff. But like if you've done it enough and you know how to mentally check yourself where you don't get discouraged when they are like you get a no, you're gonna have way more opportunities. You're gonna get because you have way more opportunities, you're gonna get more sales. And that's what I've seen at LA County Fair, especially all the fairs. Like I will call everybody, anyone, if they pass by you, if you're not paying, if you're not focused up, like I said, being aware, being present, you're losing customers straight up.
Cool. Well, I would want to be cognizant of your time because we're almost getting to an hour here, but thank you so much, Dwayne. We really appreciate you being on with us today, and we're looking forward to having you at this event with us. I think uh, people are going to be excited to be able to either work with you or possibly even field train with you if you're open to that.
I am.
So I think it's a major opportunity to have you in our division for this event, and we're looking forward to breaking the record. I think this is something we can do this year with the team that we have and the knowledge that we have going into it. I feel like we're more prepared than we ever have been for this event. So thanks again for your time. We appreciate you.
For sure. Glad I could help. Thanks for the
Awesome.
invite.
Yeah.
And feel free to hit me up if any